Hello, good day. My name is Anthony Green. I am the culinary instructor at Kirkwood Community College. And today I would like to show you how to make a leek and potato soup. The key about cooking or making anything at all is mise en place. Mise en place means to have all of your ingredients that you're going to use to make the dish, have it available. Also, make sure you read through your recipe to also ensure that you have not only the ingredients, but you understand the steps to making the dish. Because it could be problematic when you get down to the middle and you don't understand certain terminologies. So, some classic ingredients: I have some flour, I have butter, eggs, heavy cream, a little white wine, I have some thyme, and I have some leeks, all right? So, to get this dish started, I am going to make what is called a roux. A roux is equal fat and equal flour that is used to thicken up a dish, all right? So we use roux when we're making sauces, when we're making different types of soups, all right? So we will require a roux for this one. So I'm going to start with an ounce of butter. Butter makes everything better, all right? So I get an ounce of butter into my pan. And I'm going to allow that to melt. For the flour, I'm going to add some all-purpose flour to this dish. So, just get it nice and melted. Now you can make different color roux depending on what it's being used in. So there's white, there's blonde, and there's brown roux. For this dish, we're going to make a blonde roux. So butter is melted, and remember, equal fat, equal flour. Just going to add the flour and work it in. I'm looking for the texture of wet sand on this dish. So the roux needs to look like wet sand. If your heat is too high, just turn it down a little bit, because you don't want to burn. You don't want to burn this. All right, and just let it cook. Just a little bit more flour. So at this point in time, I have a white roux. And all I'm going to do to turn it into a blonde roux is just allow it to keep cooking. And of course, pay close attention to it. All right, the other components of the dish, it's a potato leek soup. So of course we have some leeks. And when you're preparing leeks, you want to wash them because they trap a lot of dirt and sand. So you want to wash them in cold water to get rid of that dirt and sand. And then we're going to dice our leeks. So let me just trim that end off. Just cut lines going in one direction. And then dice. Tuck your fingers in, put a bear in the cave, and dice. I need about 3 ounces of leeks in this dish. All right, there's my leeks ready to go. Again, just keep an eye on your roux. And it will start to change color. All right, so that's still cooking. And I'm going to go ahead and dice up some onion, some white onion. You can use yellow onion or you can use red onion in this dish. So, cut lines going in one direction. And then cut into the onion. So this way, when I go to dice, the pieces fall right out. All right, so my leeks and my onion, they're ready to go. So as you can see, the roux is starting to change color, starting to get nice and toasty. That's how we're doing. Almost there. All right, for my dish, I'm also going to need potatoes medium diced. First thing you want to do is wash your potatoes to remove any dirt. And then we're going to peel, and then we're going to dice. When you dice, you want to ensure that the pieces of potato are the same size. If they're not, then you will have uneven cooking. So you'll have some potatoes cooking before the others, and you'll have some that are very soft and some that are very hard. So you want to ensure that you cut them the same size. We're going to add some white wine. Now that my roux has changed color and started to look blonde. If it's too hot, you can turn it down, or you can take the pan off the heat. I don't want the wine to evaporate as soon as I add it. So the wine is going to add flavor, some nice acidic notes. It's also going to deglaze my pan. All right, my next step is to add some chicken stock. That is the body of our soup. And I'm going to add it in stages. I'm not going to add it all at once because I don't want to have clumps in my soup that will be hard to whisk out. So add a little, work it in. Add a little more. Add a little more. This recipe calls for 3 cups of stock, so I still have some more to add. There you go. So just whisk to ensure that you have removed all the lumps. And now for this liquid to thicken, you have to bring it up to temperature, meaning you have to bring it up to a simmer so that the roux can start to work and thicken up our liquid. So I need this saute pot, so I'm going to transfer my soup. There we go. And I'll just slide it to this back burner. So I need to saute my leeks and my onion. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit more butter. All right, while that's getting hot, I can go ahead and peel my potatoes. So I have a nice potato peeler here. If you don't have a potato peeler, a paring knife works. And then, oftentimes when you peel the potato, you have these little spots, these little eyes, sometimes we call them. And you don't want to keep peeling to get rid of them because you'll waste a lot of potato. So there is this little attachment on the end of your peeler that you can just go ahead and just dig them out just like that. Very, very creative piece of tool. And I have a couple of them. It's just how potatoes are. And I've gotten all of them. Then I'm going to clean up my mess. Very important. Clean as you go. So you don't have a huge mess in the kitchen when you're done. Let's go ahead and give my soup mixture a whisk. I want to bring it up to a simmer. All right, so for my potato, in order to cut pieces that are the same dimension, I'm going to go ahead and square off the potato. So I'm going to cut the sides off. Don't worry, these pieces, we won't throw them away. We will save them to make mashed potatoes. So squaring up the potato. All right, so now I'm going to cut planks out of the potato. All right. Then I'm going to dice. Before I dice, I can get my onion and my leek sauteing. Be careful because you don't want to brown them. You don't want to burn them. They're very tender and they tend to burn if the heat is too hot. Just going to make sure I keep an eye on this. I want to sweat them. I want to release some flavor out of them. I want to cook them maybe 2.5, maybe 3 minutes until they get nice and tender, but I don't want to brown them. I don't want to burn them. And you know what? It's crying for a little bit more fat. If I look in the bottom of the pot, there is no fat. So a little bit more butter. So don't worry, I won't tell your physician. All right, so now I have planks. Can cut them into cuts we call bâtonnets, and then I can dice. Again, making sure that all the cuts are the same size. So remember, you're making a soup, so you want the vegetables to be bite-sized. You don't want them too big. And of course, you don't want them too small. If they're too small, what's going to happen? They're going to fall apart. All right. Nice. Onions, they start to get clear, and you start to smell them. So with cooking, you have to use all your senses, not only sight, but you have to use your sense of smell, and also even your ability to hear and listen. You want to hear that kitchen music, is what we call it, that snap, crackle, pop. All right, so I want to bring this up to a boil. It's getting there. Every now and again, just whisk to ensure that there's nothing sticking to the bottom of your pot. All right, now that I've sweat my leeks and my onions, I want to go ahead and add my potato pieces. Because I want to start the cooking on these pieces as well. Don't worry, if you can't toss it, it's okay just to use a spoon, use a spatula, wooden spoon, and just go ahead and just toss the pieces together. So we'll just go ahead and we will let these potato and onion mixture just sweat for another 2 minutes or so. I have my veloute, which is what it's called. It's a chicken stock that's thickened with a roux. Have that simmering, coming to a boil in the back. And the other components to the soup is something that's called a liaisons. A liaisons is a thickener made with heavy cream and egg yolk. It gives your soup a nice body, but it also gives it a richness from the use of the egg yolk and the heavy cream. The challenge with a liaisons is that if you get it too hot too quickly, it will break. The eggs will scramble on you and you'll have a very chunky soup, or you'll have a soup with pieces of eggs floating. So what you want to do is to do a process called tempering. Tempering is where we use a hot mixture to bring our liaisons, our egg yolk and heavy cream mixture up to the same temperature, and then we marry them. All right? So potatoes are started to cook. My leeks and my onions are nice and tender, no color. I can move that off the heat. All right? And I have a pot of oil in the back that I'm going to start to heat up. I'm going to fry some leeks to garnish my dish. So I hope you're paying attention. I am multitasking. Any successful chef understands that that's very important. To be able to do a number of different things, at the same time. It's kind of keeping your eyes on everything. If you don't, things will burn. So I want to go ahead and make my liaisons mixture. So I have to separate 2 eggs. I need the yolk of 2 eggs. So a couple of ways you can do it. You've probably seen, I have somewhere to put the whites. You've probably seen people crack the egg open and then use the shell to separate the whites from the yolk. So that's one way to do it. So I have 1 yolk. Or you can crack it in the palm of your hand and just kind of pass it through your fingers. Oh, no shell. Bad shell. All right, and I have another yolk. So I have 2 yolks. Now I have to wash my hands. All right, so now I have my egg yolks. Let me get these whites out the way. Do not need them right now. And I'm going to whisk in some of my heavy whipping cream. Half and half will work as well. But heavy cream is best. Normally, 1 yolk will be enough to mix with a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. All right. So mix that up. Stick it in the refrigerator until I'm ready to use it. So the body of my soup has come up to a very nice simmer, or a rolling boil actually. And I want it to reduce a little bit. Reason being, I want to concentrate the flavor that is in the stock. All right? When you reduce liquids, you reduce the volume of the liquid, but you also concentrate the flavor. So this step here is very important in making a well-flavored soup. Let it reduce. Let the flavors marry, let everything kind of come together. All right. All right. Now I'm going to cut some leeks to garnish. So I'm a soup simmering, I'm a vegetable sauteed, and I have some oil back here getting hot to fry some of my leeks off. Don't want it to be too hot. Cut some nice pieces. And remember the leek, it's just layers and layers. The leek is in the onion family. They're related. I think they're distant cousins or something like that. Separate it, and then we're going to julienne. So julienne is a cut where you cut fruits or vegetables into strips. Tuck your fingers in, nice and thin. Tuck your fingers in. All right. Let's check the temperature of my oil. So you want to fry these leeks at 325. If you fry them at 350 or 375, they'll burn. So you want to fry them at 325 or a little lower, 315. If you don't have a thermometer, it's okay to just go ahead and test. So what you're looking for is bubbles to start to come to the top. So that tells me that my oil isn't hot enough. So I turn the heat up a little bit. I'm going to finish my soup with some fresh thyme. I love fresh thyme. So you strip it off the stem. And then you just mince it. Dry thyme would work as well. Just remember, dry herbs have more flavor than fresh herbs, because when you dry the herb, you remove the water content, so you get a more flavorful herb. But fresh herbs, in terms of presentation and appearance, has great flavor, and is also best to use at the end of preparing your dish. So we're getting close. I know you're getting hungry. Oh, well, no, you can't have this. So, liquid is reducing well. Always, always taste. It's good. You don't believe me? Make it yourself. All right, then we're going to add our potatoes, our leeks, and our onions to our dish. Try and get everything into this pan. And just remember, you sauteed the potatoes already, so you don't have to cook them for very long. We want the potatoes to be al dente, to the tooth. We want them to have a little bite to them. We don't want them too soft. We don't want them we don't want them falling apart. All right. I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit. Same, now check the oil again. There you go, I put it and I see some bubbles coming up. That's what I'm looking for. I will go ahead, add my leeks. I have some paper towel here to put them on once they're fried. Dry spoon. Toss them around a little bit. There we go. See, they're not burning, they're not browning too quickly. That's what you're looking for. Fry them till they get nice and crispy. I just turned the heat off because it was a little too hot. As a chef, always be in control of your cooking environment. If something is burning, don't just scream and look at it. Do something about it. Take the pot off the heat, turn the flame down. You are the master of your environment as a chef. Very nice. Almost there with the leeks. So again, this is an ideal soup for any time of the year, especially when it's cold outside. A nice, creamy, thick potato soup is very nice, especially with the flavor of the leeks. You can always modify this dish by adding, dare I say it, bacon to it. Bacon is wonderful. Jalapenos is another one of my favorite things to add to this soup as well. This is for some heat, but the possibilities are endless. Sausage, shrimp, But by itself, it's great by itself. So the leeks are starting to get crispy. So the hot oil is removing the moisture content, so it's dehydrating the leeks, drying them out, getting them nice and crispy. Almost there. All right, my soup is almost to the point now where I can try the potatoes and add my liaisons. So remember, the liaisons is going to help to thicken the soup, give it some more body. What is very important to remember about using a liaisons is that once you temper it into the soup, you cannot bring the soup to a boil. You bring it to a boil, it's going to cause the liaisons to break. All that hard work down the drain. So you need to simmer it very, very lightly to cook the egg yolks. 2-3 minutes, maybe a minute and a half, not too much. All right, I'm just babying these leeks right there. You can see they're almost there, almost there. Let me check these potatoes in the soup. So remember, I'm going for al dente. Should be cooked to the tooth. A little bit more. Getting crispy, getting crispy. Stir one more time just to make sure you have nothing sticking on the bottom. Beautiful. Multitask. Keep your workstation clean and organized. All right. All right, leeks are right where I want them to be. Nice and crispy. Just shake off all that extra oil. Just put them on paper towel. And of course, you want to salt them immediately. The hot oil will cause the salt to stick. So, good amount of salt. And now we'll just move those to the side right there. All right, soup is almost there. I'm going to add the thyme. Then I'm going to add my liaisons. So remember that word? What's that word? No, you don't remember. You forget already. Word tempering. What does it mean? Okay, good. You guys have been paying attention. So we're going to bring the temperature of the liaisons to the temperature of the soup by adding the hot liquid to the cold liquid. We can't add it quickly. You have to add it slowly and work it in. So just a little. I'll just add two ladles to it. And then to check, feel the bottom of your metal bowl. It should feel warm, hot, but not too hot. I would say maybe one more. So what we're doing is we're slowly bringing the temperature up. And there you go. Bottom bowl, nice and warm. Good. And now I can introduce my liaisons to the soup. Have a little trying to escape, clinging to the bowl. No way. All right. Quick whisk. So remember, minute and a half. You cannot bring this back to a boil. Now is when I will taste and I'll adjust my seasonings. So this potato soup, it takes a lot of salt. So you have to be prepared to season with salt. And of course, a little cracked black pepper. Or white pepper. That's what you prefer. White pepper will just, you won't have the specks of the black pepper in the soup. So. All right, so grab my bowls. One for me, one for you. No, two for me. All right, and then last thing, always taste, always taste. They say chefs don't eat, we taste. That's delicious. All right, and I'm gonna ladle my soup in the bowl. It has that nappe consistency, N-A-P-P-E, that I'm looking for, where it coats the back of a spoon, but not too thick. And I'm gonna go ahead, ladle it into my bowls right here. Again, perfect for any time of the year. Just make sure that you don't get too much potatoes in one bowl. You need a good ratio of potato to soup. Turn my stove off. All right, and then nice crispy leeks. Just for presentation, like it's right in the top. Height enhances presentation. Or sprinkle them all over. It's your bowl of soup. Do whatever you want to do with it. And then a little extra green. I have, these are some Fennel Microgreens. All right, there you have it. Potato and leek soup, presented to you by Kirkwood Community College. See you around.